Oh, snap. We going live. We going live. I think we here, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the studio. I'm Aramis, the artist. If you are watching this on the replay, you can introduce yourself in the comment section. For my people who are live right now, today on March 7th at 3 o'clock, introduce yourself in the chat. I see Valencia is here. I see Kamisha is here. Welcome, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. This is going to be a video that's going to be recorded. That is going to be staying on my YouTube channel. So let me just get some thumbs up or something in the chat so that I know that you all can hear me. Let me know if the audio is good. But you made it. Lives are always fun, but they're always kind of nerve-wracking too. It's like, oh my God, like this is really happening. I'm here live with the community. Okay, y'all, I have some tips to share. And the tips that I'm sharing is connected to Patreon. Let's dive right in. This is specifically for artists and art collectors. Okay, so I know that there have been you said elbow cough. I love it. Thumbs up. Okay, great. I see that there actually might be a little delay. So I'm just going to make sure that I keep that in mind. I am using StreamYard. So let's go ahead and try this out. And y'all, for anybody who always asks me about YouTube and like how I got into it and all this, I need to first shout out Think Media. Okay, I'm not even told to say this. I'm not even sponsored, nothing at all. But Sean Cannell is the GOAT. Okay, he has taught me everything that I know from just like watching his YouTube channel. So they use StreamYard. So your girl's about to use StreamYard. So welcome, Valencia. I see that you have been a medical assistant for 16 years, girl. Thank you. Okay, thank you for. And yes, you definitely are good enough to go full time. Okay. Let's dive right in, y'all. So let's take it back. We taking it back. I'm Aramis. Okay. I am. You can also call me AO. You know, the O stands for Octavia. That is my middle name. So speaking of medical assistants, connected in the healthcare field, I was a registered nurse for maybe it was 5 years. I can't even tell y'all at this point, y'all. But I have been a full-time artist since 2016. Art has always been my passion, and it's always been something that has called me. Like literally, when I would work at the hospitals, I would come home and just paint. That was my healing and creative process. So let's talk about Patreon. I started Patreon in February 2019. Now I say started because have you ever started something just like on the low? I literally started my Patreon and didn't tell anybody. I was like, let me just get this started and see how it goes. And now we are in 2022, and I officially have 147 active patrons, and I am so grateful for that. It blows my mind to even think that. I say active, which is different from total, which is 174. Super grateful for them. I'm going to break down what that even means, how that is going to affect you as an artist, and also how this could affect people who want to become a patron. So let's dive in. Here's the agenda. We're going to talk about what Patreon is, why you should even start a Patreon, if you want to, of course, right? That's like pretty much the main thing for me. I also invited some of my current patrons to this live stream as well. I also invited some people who are curious about becoming my patron too. So I'm also going to talk about why somebody would even want to become a patron, when you should start. I'm going to also share some ideas about perks and rewards, some tips and advice, and I would love to answer some of y'all questions too. So feel free to drop those in the chat. We do have Andy live with us, y'all. Andy is my husband. He is so supportive and amazing, and so he's on the back end. He is being our moderator for today to make sure that I don't miss any of you all's questions, and to kick out any bots if we have any spammers trying to come through. Okay, so y'all can just like drop in the chat, say hey Andy. So let's dive into what is Patreon. Simply put, y'all, Patreon is just a monthly membership towards anything you enjoy. Okay, what I do love is that recently they started an annual membership, because I'm the person who's like, I need to know what's coming out of my account and when it's coming out. Okay, I just recently have been in a financial position to even set up like automatic payments on some of my bills, which I'm super grateful for. It's been a journey getting here to full-time artist status, and also get into a financial place to where you can actually have something automatically being withdrawn out of your account. And so I know that can definitely be something that's difficult for people, but now they have the annual feature, y'all. So if anybody has a Patreon tier that's like $5 a month or $2 a month, multiply that times 12, and you literally will only just be paying around $40 or $50 for the entire year. So I do love that Patreon has a monthly and an annual option. So pretty much it's like Netflix for artists. I think about anything you pay for on a monthly basis. I pay for Google storage. Okay. As a YouTube and content creator, I'm always running out of storage. So that's something that I'm paying monthly for. OnlyFans. Okay. I love my OnlyFans creators. Get it how you live, sis and bruh. Okay. So that is a similar monthly membership. It's literally something you enjoy. If you have a favorite artist or a favorite creator, you can definitely contribute to their craft monthly. And that's literally what Patreon is. You could think of it about like maybe season tickets. The other thing that I think about is people who really love to contribute to art institutions. Now, I'm somebody who has had the honor of getting grants, awards, all sorts of stuff. And that's made possible by donations that people have provided to art institutions. But what's dope about Patreon is that you can like directly support a creator that you are a fan of. Because the thing about the art grants, y'all, and artists, y'all know that stuff can be competitive. There's so many different people who are applying for these art opportunities. So Patreon is like going straight to your favorite creator. So if you are somebody who donates to like art organizations, Patreon would be nice for you to select your favorite creator. So this is specifically to my artists out here. Why would you start a Patreon? Here's the thing, y'all. Everybody start Patreon for different reasons, but you need to figure out why you want to start it. So I'm going to just share mine, right? So my specific why, including all the other sorts of things, was to cultivate a dynamic and engaged community who is passionate about the arts and seeing creators thrive artistically and financially, y'all. That's the point, the financial component. And so for me, that's going to help you guide your perks, your rewards, how much energy, how much time you want to spend on this is getting clear on your why. And so I'm excited for my Patreon because it's really about building community. And I'm going to explain that more later as to how that influenced my perks. Let's talk about the other thing, because the real deal out here is consistent income. Okay. And I think that there's no shame in want to have consistent income and having financial stability. And to tell y'all the truth, y'all, Patreon has unlocked that for me. Patreon has been a straight up unlocker. Okay. It has unlocked the code. So let me come back to some of these other things, but pretty much my overall why is there in yellow. And then also consistent income, share my process on an intimate level, reward my OG supporters, and also get direct feedback about products and projects. I'm going to tell the artists out here, y'all, what Patreon is not. You are not about to make money quick. It is not easy. And I don't think it's a good place if it's hard for you to receive rejection. Like people ask me this all the time, like, how do you just like keep going after getting so many rejections? Or like, I have started a Patreon, nobody's joined. Honey, you got to keep going. Like literally, you have to keep going. And then the honest truth is that some people will join your Patreon and leave, and that's okay too. I've learned to not even take that personally. Everybody is going through their different financial circumstances. So literally, I love it when my patrons message me and be like, hey girl, just a heads up, I'm making some financial moves. We out here trying to make money moves. I'm gonna need to pause my Patreon subscription for a minute. I'm proud of you. I love you. Hopefully I can come back at some point, but for now, I'm going to have to deuce out for some financial concerns. And that is so understandable. So y'all, I think it's really about building that, building up that tough skin, because as an artist, it's such a vulnerable process just to put yourself out there and just share in this world. So I think definitely whenever you decide to start a Patreon, Get strong, y'all. Get resilient. So consistent income. Let me take y'all way back to when your girl was doing festivals. Okay, that's really what helped me build up my audience. Another question that I commonly get is, how do you get more patrons? How do you build up your audience? How do you build up your community? So I had mentioned that I started a Patreon back in 2019, but I started working as a full-time artist back in 2016. And so I would do festivals all over Seattle. I'm actually located in Washington and Seattle. I would do art festivals at Folklife Festival, Alki Arts Festival, West Seattle Summerfest. So this is like way back in the day, okay? And what has been so amazing is that the people that I met these years ago have eventually become patrons. So I would highly suggest for people now, of course, it's very different now with COVID, but I also feel like the world is starting to open back up again and art festivals are coming back. So I'm literally just telling you all what I did. But the thing about these festivals, y'all, COVID. All the art festivals shut down, all the art events shut down. So that's why it's important to have multiple streams of income. And I'm really grateful that I already had my Patreon set up before the pandemic, because when that did happen, I was already in a position to receive. So from that, Patreon helped me have consistent income. So I feel like that's going to be really important if that's a part of your why. Okay. You girls out here grinding. The other thing about not having consistent income, you can get like super big projects throughout the city. So I had the opportunity to paint this large scale mural in Seattle, Washington. This was back in 2016. And now murals was a huge part of my income. But the thing about commissions, it fluctuates, y'all. You can get one project that's like $20,000, but then you can also have months with no income at all. So I think that's the other nice thing for artists, to have something else going on so that you can have that consistent stream of income. We got UK in the house. Hey there, studio. Is it Neil? Welcome. Thank you for being here, y'all. And let's see, next up. So I was talking about consistent income. Here's the thing. The other thing is, like, when you think about why you want to start your Patreon, the other thing for me was around sharing more bonus content. I think if you all follow me on Instagram, you probably know that I love sharing my process. So the other thing is that I have so much content, y'all. I have so many like behind the scenes videos, so many photos that like the world actually hasn't even seen. But part of it is like, I'm not trying to spam people out here. Okay. I'm not trying to share it all. So Patreon has been like this really nice safe space for me to just go deep. Okay. Your girl be sharing all sorts of stuff, with she crying in tears. This was actually one of the video I shared with them back in July when we bought our house. So that was really fun. So then the other thing that I had mentioned was providing your supporters and audience with stuff that nobody else can get. I think this is the dope part about Patreon and where artists can really take advantage of this. So actually, me and Kamisha was a part of painting the Black Lives Matter mural that was in Seattle in June of 2020. And so Scott of Bellevue Fine Art Reproductions, if y'all follow my studio vlogs, then you know exactly who Scott is. Scott is the GOAT. He makes all of my prints out here in Seattle, and he actually donated to us to create a production of prints. I didn't sell any of those prints. I just gifted those to my patrons. So that's another perk idea. If you have something that's like donated to you, that's a perfect opportunity to share that with your patrons. The other thing that I think could be great for creators, we always testing out stuff, right? So I had made candles back in the day. These are coming back at some point in July. But whenever you making stuff, artists know, like, you have a whole lot of extra stuff just kind of laying around, and so like sharing some of that stuff with your patrons, right, woo, woo. Sharing some of that stuff with your patrons is the perfect opportunity to even engage with them some more. Okay, so let's dive in, y'all. Patreon.com. Literally, it's actually super simple to start a Patreon. You go to patreon.com and click create on Patreon. Here's the catcher though. It's like, what are my perks gonna be? What are the tiers? How am I gonna market it? Right? Like that's the whole process. And so that's some of the stuff that I want to dive in on today. So of course, wait, let me go forward. Of course, I have a Patreon, but I'm also a patron of some of my favorite people. So let me share with y'all some of my favorite people. And tell me in the chat if you all have a Patreon, if you are patrons of other people. Yeah, look, let's just get the whole chat popping too so that I can put some of y'all up on the screen. So, speaking of people who I love and YouTube creators, I love Evelyn from the internet. She is hilarious, okay? And I also love supporting Black women. So y'all gonna see this whole list of the people who I'm patrons of is Black women, okay? So Evelyn from the internet. So I'm giving you an example of how she set up her tiers. I really love how she did it. So she has 3 separate tiers and literally everybody gets the same amount. So her system is run on a pay what you can model. So if somebody wants to contribute more, they can. If somebody wants to contribute less, they can as well. But at the same time, everybody's getting the same thing. And that's actually probably really dope for her so that she's not trying to manage tiers, because that's a whole nother talk. Okay. We can definitely talk about managing tiers during the Q&A session. And speaking of Evelyn, she is partnering with her friend Halise on a new project. What is their web series called? It is called This Could Have Been an Email, and it is hilarious. They are doing a crowdfunding campaign right now, so y'all should definitely check them out. I'm gonna drop all this stuff in the description after this video. So Halise, I'm also a patron of hers as well. So she has 4 different tiers. And what I like about hers is that she is offering classes. So Halise does like video production. So if people want to learn about how to write videos, like web series and podcasts, her highest tier, she actually provides online courses. So I'm like, that's a really good idea. Now I'm a keep it real. I'm gonna keep it a buck because you already know that's how I do. I'm a patron of so many people, but I barely honestly even consume their exclusive Patreon content. I'm just like, girl, I just want to give you money. Keep on living your best life. I'm gonna be over here doing what I'm doing. So I'm actually not even like what's because what's funny, Halise had gave us an exclusive like behind the scenes look of the web series, which is This Could Have Been an Email. So she had shared it with us, but I didn't even see it until she had published it live on YouTube. So sometimes, y'all, it's not even about what the perks are. It's really about building up a community of people who really want to support your craft. Okay, so that's a whole nother thing. And Kamisha, yeah, see, you was just like me back in 2019. I had it set up, but nobody knew. Okay. That's completely understandable. And honestly, I actually recommend that. I recommend that people go into patreon.com, super like on the low, get it all set up so that you can know how to use some of their tools and features. And then when it's ready, that's when you can launch it out to the world. But I'm going to share more about that later, and we can definitely talk more about that too. So that's Halise's, y'all. She's on she's patreon.com/Halise. Then my other girl, Kamari Bright. Y'all actually have probably seen her on the vlogs. This is my in real life friend. Okay. So I definitely have to shout out my girl, Kamari Bright. So Kamari is like everything. Okay. She is love and light. She is a poet, she is a filmmaker, she's a model, she's a published author. She does it all. Okay. Now she has 5 different tiers, which is nice for this last one. I say honey gets the coin. Her highest tier is $100 a month. Now this tier, when you thinking about pricing your tiers, it's about thinking about what level of commitment that you want to give it. And so if you are giving people your time, energy, skills, and service, I highly recommend that you have a tier that's a little bit more on the higher end. So for Kamari, her higher tier, which is $100, she is literally doing a co-working session, like a one-on-one session with people. Okay, so that's like, yeah, if you paying for her like a one-on-one time, then that is going to be something that's a higher tier. Now, in making this slide for y'all, I couldn't find Kamari's Patreon. And that is because hers is very similar to mine, where you have to acknowledge that you are 18 years or over. So y'all know I love painting women, goddesses. Some of them have a little booty out. They have a little nipple out. Okay. So with Patreon, if you are sharing any artwork that has nudity on it, you have to check the box that your work is for people who are 18 years or over. The downside about that is that you aren't searchable on patreon.com's homepage. But I just recently realized a few months ago, my Patreon is now searchable. And I think that's because I now have had my Patreon for over 2 years. So maybe they're trying to filter out like newer people. I'm not exactly sure. But I know when I was trying to find Kamari's page, she isn't searchable in Patreon. And so if you are a content creator that creates stuff that's a little bit more for the adults, I would highly recommend having your Patreon link in the link in your bio, because if people are trying to find you on patreon.com through their search feature, it will not be available, which is really unfortunate. But over time, once you build up enough patrons, your content will be searchable. That's something that I just figured out. Okay. So I'm going to take a pause for a minute, drink some water, check in with some of y'all chats. Let me see who else has a Patreon or wants to start a Patreon. Tell me about what y'all create, what y'all make. And as y'all typing that in the chat, I'm going to hydrate. I'm going to comment for people who are watching this on the replay. Give me about a day or two. I'm going to go back and I'm going to provide timestamps so that you can hop around, because this is probably going to be like a 30-40 minute video. And so I definitely want to make sure that you get into the spot where you want to get to. So that's just for folks who's watching it on the replay. This is definitely going to be staying live up on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to put timestamps in it. And I'm going to put all of these content creators' Patreon link. If you want to check out their Patreon as well, you should do that. And I love supporting Black women. So if it's a Black woman, that's a bonus for me, sis. That's a bonus. Okay. But drop it in the chat. Let me know what y'all create. Where are y'all from? What do y'all do? Let me hear it. And I'm going to give it a second for that to enter the chat. And then I can put it up on the screen so that more people can learn about y'all and learn what you all are up to. Let me know. Let me know. I'm going to throw on some music. And since this is going up on my channel, y'all, speaking of music, I be using Epidemic Sound. Okay, that's the plug for when it comes down to copy-free music. But I'm definitely not about to put on Beyonce, even though I want to. Definitely don't want this demonetized. But yeah, y'all, drop it in the chat. Let me make sure y'all are still there. Drop it in the chat to let me know what y'all are creating. And I'm gonna dive back in. We got Baltimore in the house. Okay, Ashanti. What sort of things do you like to paint? Let me know. Let me know. Who else? Is Kamisha still here with us? Let me know what you like to create, Kamisha. Exactly, growing. You are amazing. I literally have my sculpture of yours up here on my bookshelf. Y'all, Kamisha grows crystals. Okay, you all need to check out her work and painting murals. Drop it in the chat. You have to share your Instagram, website, share it with the community. I have one of her sculptures, y'all. I'm also an artist, but I also consider myself to be an art collector, as you all can tell. All of this work behind me is from creators who have made stuff right out here in Seattle. Okay, we got Valencia doing some oil paintings, wood sculptures. Okay, whatever comes to mind, I'm with that. Actually, one of my dear friends and patrons, Allison, she made this. Y'all, she bends neon. I actually shared her stuff in one of my studio vlogs. Okay, hey, Ladarius. Welcome, welcome. You let her paint portraits. Okay, Alabama in the house. I know that's right. Okay, y'all. Thank y'all for sharing. I love this. Keep on chatting in the comment section. Let's talk about this. If you have already started a Patreon, then you might know that it does take a lot of work. So keep in mind your why as to why you are building your Patreon community. Wood burning watercolors. Okay, okay. We got CL in the house, and you are a patron as well. So thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Patreon community. Julie is here. Oh, Julie, you're a patron too. Welcome, Julie from Australia. Yes, yes. I'm still figuring out the shipping stuff in Australia. So we're going to talk about Australia. I've gotten a couple messages from people in Australia. Love it, love it, love it. You paint with watercolors, acrylics, mixed media. I love abstracts. That is awesome. That is fantastic. Okay, okay. We got Ashanti painting the portraits. Let's talk about your why. For me, it was having an engaged community. Here's what I realized, y'all. When you put in so much time and effort in Patreon, you like, okay, cool. That's great that these people are contributing money to my work. But I also want them to see it. Like what can happen is that we can like create Patreon exclusive stuff, but the patrons actually aren't seeing it. So part of the reason that I'm even doing this live stream is so that my current patrons know that like, hey, y'all, there is hella stuff over there in Patreon. And also I want to build a community like together with them, amongst them. So it's like, how are you providing these perks for them based on what you want your outcome to be? Also think about your personality. If you are not an extrovert, maybe you should not be hosting events. That's real. Okay, so for me, I'm somebody who's very social, bubbly, talkative. I love recording YouTube videos. So my personality is somebody who offers itself well to building community. If you are an introvert, then maybe consider that when you are making your perks. Like maybe I'm not offering something where it's this like one-on-one community engagement. Maybe I'm offering more like physical or like tangible goods. Think about the time and capacity. I see this a lot with new Patreon creators. I did it myself, y'all. I did it myself. I had unfortunately price my tiers too low. I think every new artist on Patreon does this, which is fine. It's totally understandable. Start small, start where you can. You can always change those tiers later. So don't feel like you are locked into anything at all. Keep in mind your talent, skills, and services. So when I think about Halise, she knows how to edit videos, she knows how to write films, she knows how to create like a script. So that was one of the perks that she had offered to her community. Here's the other thing. Think about your desired Patreon percentage of your monthly income. I think my face is in the way of that. So let me shift that. Oh, okay, StreamYard. Thank you, Sean Cannell of Think Media. Okay, if anybody's trying to start a YouTube channel, I tell everybody, go to Think Media. They have all the tools, okay? So y'all, StreamYard is dope. This is my first time using it. That's the live streaming platform that I'm using to do this presentation with you all. So when you think about your desired Patreon income, that's going to determine how much energy you want to give into it. For me, I want Patreon to be about a third of my income. So that is pretty significant. And why I want it to be a third is because with Patreon, I've learned that it is I don't want to say that it's always consistent. I'm going to say this. It is my most consistent form of income. Like pretty much meaning that I can definitely count on having that certain amount of money. Sometimes I will get projects that's like $10,000, which is phenomenal. But then there's a project that's like $500. And so like just the income can fluctuate so much. I feel like Patreon has definitely provided me with that consistency. And so that's why I have really wanted to focus more of my percentage of income on Patreon. So that tells me whenever I'm considering my perks, it's like, okay, if Patreon income is going to be a third of my income, then that should be probably about a third of where my energy is going. So for example, if you're not trying to do like Patreon tutorials or like have like monthly meetings with your supporters, literally I've learned that wherever your energy goes, energy flows. So if you want to have more patrons, you have to show up more in your Patreon and publicly. So if that's something that you want to do, great. If that's something that you don't want to do, I think it's important to be honest with yourself and be like, this may not be something for me. You know what I mean? And so the other thing that I had in here about considering your perks is think about who you are. So for me, I'm an artist and I also create content. So I know there's a few people in here who have a YouTube channel. Possibly tell me, y'all, if y'all have a YouTube channel, tell me in the chat if you started a channel. But if you do have a channel, then you know that you have a lot of footage that you actually don't use. Or you can go on like a long rant like me because I'm clearly a talker. So that made me realize like, oh, I actually have a lot of extra content that maybe this could actually be used for something as well. So that let me know that maybe this could be beneficial for my patrons. And you will be surprised, y'all. Like some of the stuff that you think like, oh, nobody want to hear that, or like who really cares about that? That's some of the stuff that I have really gotten some of the most like profound engagement from, positive feedback. Like literally, it's just sometimes it's like basic videos of me just sitting in chat. One of my most popular videos on my YouTube channel is like a 45-minute video where I'm talking about how I found my art style through hip hop, self-love, and nursing. I can't remember, but it was literally 45 minutes of me just sitting there talking about my art journey. But yeah, so you would really be surprised. Here's what I would say. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, okay? If you don't know how to edit videos, if you don't have like all these extra pictures kind of laying around, don't add extra work on yourself because you already doing a lot as an artist. Why Patreon really worked out for me is because I probably take 1,000 photos a day. I have so much extra footage laying around. I have so many extra products that I'm testing and trying to see if this is something that I actually want to launch publicly to the world. I clearly have the gift of gab, so I can just sit and just talk with people. So I think it's really important to honor yourself and know what type of person you are when it comes down to your perks. So let's move on from that. Does that make sense to folks? How y'all feeling about that? Are y'all extroverts, introverts? So for me, when it came down to my tiers, it's so funny, y'all. These are my newer tiers. I think I increased my tiers. Was it last year? It was last December is when I realized I'm gonna keep it real. Y'all know it. Okay. I realized that I was one undercharging, and two that I was doing the most. Okay. I have a tendency to do the most. I was doing the most too early on. And I think I was providing things that my community didn't really want. So I think it's really important to ask for feedback because that's really going to help you figure out your perks. So for mine, now my perks are Light Beam, Nebula, and Supernova, which is $4, $12, and $22. Now, last year, I had three tiers that were called Supporter, Squad, and Family. Now, the supporter tier, that was $2. Introvert, I love that. Look, there's so many introverts. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. That's so, I have my lovely husband, who is our moderator for today, which he hasn't really had to do anything. Babe, are you still there? Okay. He really hasn't had to do anything, which is great. My lovely husband is an introvert as well. And that's why he's on the back end being our moderator for today, making sure that we don't have any bots that's going to be bothering us. Okay. So shout out to all the introverts in the house. I see y'all out here. I see you. I see you. Perfect. Self-awareness. Know yourself. Okay. Know yourself. That's important. Okay. Everybody, look, Julie in there, Cassandra. Hey, Cassandra, welcome, welcome. Yep, you want to. Awesome. Okay, so let's see. My supporter tier was $2. Let me tell y'all this. Patreon takes fees. So when I be seeing people with a Patreon where their first tier is $1, don't do it, y'all. There's all sorts of transaction fees on the back end, and honestly, that could be a whole nother video. I'm not even gonna take all the time for that. There are fees with Patreon, and so then that's when I realized, like, okay, this $2 tier, based on all the fees and and like transaction fees and like all of that, by the end of the day, I end up getting like $1.50, sometimes just $1. Okay, so I was like, that's not a beneficial model. So that's why I was like, let's bring this up. And so I currently have a tier that's called Supernova. That was called Family before, and that was $16. Now, y'all, you know, we in this panini press. Y'all know shipping has been crazy. Packaging stuff has been crazy. There's like a surcharge on cardboard now. Y'all, stuff is crazy. Wood prices has gone up. I'm clearly, deeply, and viscerally aware of that one as we building these custom frames for my paintings for the show that's taking place in June. Y'all, everything has been real. And once I calculated all the time that I was taking to package the greeting card, so I'll tell you what that perk was. In that top tier, those were the only tiers where people were receiving physical goods from me. Oh, nice. That was the only tier where people were receiving physical goods. And but I realized, y'all, it took a long time to package all that stuff. It took a long time. And so I had to pay for the greeting cards. I had to pay for the envelopes. I had to pay for the packaging. And I was thinking about the time that it took me in order to do all of that. And for me, having that only at $16, and they were getting 3 greeting cards from me. They were getting monthly create date sessions. They were also getting bonus exclusive content. I was like, yes, you might have to bring this one up just a touch. And so literally I had just brought it up just so that I was at least making a little bit of a profit on the back end, so that literally I wasn't just spending that entire Patreon amount on just these cards. You know, like the other point of Patreon is to have some sort of income on it. Okay, you still here? Thanks, babes. I see you out here. I see you. Okay, so yeah, so that was right. So that's currently what it is. I think I talked about this in another slide, so I'm a hold that. But yeah, y'all, tell me some of your concerns about your tiers, your perks, your rewards. Are you thinking of certain ideas? What would you like to offer to some of your patrons? So one of the, and just drop that there in the chat. One of the newest things that I had offered to my Patreon community is the Mothership. Y'all, I'm in love with the Mothership. Okay, here, let me look, zoom in. Okay, here's the thing about the Mothership. Me and the team, okay, speaking of team, my patrons has made it possible for me to hire a team. One of my team members is a patron. I met her at an art festival years ago. Her name is Nalisha. She's absolutely amazing. She's been helping me out for the past few months now. But I've been able to pay for my other team member, who is my virtual assistant, Shannon. I've been able to pay her through having a consistent income through my Patreon. So the team and I built out the Mothership, and it has all these different tools in it. Let me tell y'all about it. But what I found is like some of my patrons don't even know what it is. And I'm like, okay, hold on now. We just spent 3 months building out this entire feature for folks, and people don't know what it is. Okay. So let me break it down. Let me break it down. Oh, that is such a good point, Kamisha. I felt the same way. We gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. So let's talk about this. The Mothership was something that I created because Patreon, the platform itself, like patreon.com, has a lot of hiccups, y'all. It has a lot of like issues when it comes down to the app and certain things. I noticed that my patrons wasn't seeing everything, all sorts of stuff. Okay. So I was like, let me take a more active role where I can have more control over the platform. So I built like an entire membership suite on the back end in my personal website. I use Squarespace. I love Squarespace. I'm not sponsored by them, y'all, but maybe one day, hey, Squarespace, okay? Maybe one day, because Squarespace is truly the plug. And one of their newest features is this like members area where people can pay a monthly subscription. Now, since my patrons already pay for their membership through Patreon, my members area, they don't have to pay an extra fee. But what's nice about it is that it is like password protected content. So I make sure that they have their login information for the Mothership. Now, that's provided to folks in their welcome letter. So when you start your Patreon, y'all, in the advanced settings, that's where you can go in there and create an actual welcome letter, like a custom letter based on whatever tier the person has joined. You can say, hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Here are all the tools that's available to you. Now, I put that in my welcome letter, but I also noticed that a lot of patrons haven't seen it, don't know it. The other thing about Patreon, when those emails are sent out to your patrons, a lot of times that stuff can go to either spam or their promotional tab. So your current patron sometimes isn't even seeing what's taking place. That's why I always, oh yeah, you have. That's why I always share some of the stuff that's going on in Patreon on my Instagram stories. I noticed that a lot of my patrons are on Instagram. Let's see what y'all saying over here. I know they have an option for Patreon to send merch. Yeah, they do. So that's the other thing, y'all. Like, Patreon is building out so many features because I think the world is starting to get used to this membership model. People are starting to get used to paying to actually get access to some of their favorite creators. I don't know if y'all seen this. Okay, look, he's the real tea. Instagram has now started a subscription model. So people can actually subscribe to you on Instagram where people are paying, which is a whole nother thing. I'm like, I can't really see myself subscribing to somebody on Instagram, but hey, there's all sorts of monthly membership models that's coming up. But what's nice about, I think literally Patreon was created like back in 2007 or something. So they're one of the people who has been around for a long time. So one of their recent tools that Kamisha was just talking about is they actually recently have started the program where they can send out merch for you. Now, I was thinking about using this tool, but I reconsidered. Here's why, y'all. Quality control. A lot of these drop shipping companies out here, I've used them all. I'm gonna make a whole video about that. I've used Society6, Zazzle, Redbubble, Fine Art America, all the print on demand things, y'all. When people are shipping stuff to your client without you seeing it, there's a lot of hiccups. And like when it comes down to my art, I want to make sure that it's like getting to them in a beautiful way and in a timely way with no streaks or lines or issues. And I was reading some of the reviews of some of the stuff that Patreon sends out to people. It's just, they don't like, I just like having control. Okay. So I've heard phenomenal things. I've also heard things where there were some issues. So I would say look into it, see if it works good for you. I see CL, you said that you've been wanting to start a YouTube channel, but bashful. Totally understandable. Totally understandable. YouTube is amazing, y'all, but it can definitely be intimidating. If y'all go back and see some of my old videos, you'll see how awkward and like weird. And I didn't know about editing, y'all, but anything can literally come with practice, you know? But I also think that it's important to honor what type of person you are, you know? Because for me, I've just always been pretty like like bubbly, social, extroverted. And I think what's important about all of these online communities is consistency and sustainability. There's so many creators who burn out. Burnout is a real thing, y'all. And when you aren't able to be consistent, that's when things can fall off. And so the most important thing that's going to help with consistency is doing stuff that feels in alignment with you, you know? And so for me, as somebody who likes YouTube, as somebody who likes being on camera, somebody who likes talking with people, YouTube feels very natural. Now, if that's not something for you, that's why the blog, like a blog could be, y'all, people sleeping on the blogs, okay? People are sleeping on the written word. It is still live and in full effect, okay? So if you want to do a blog, if you want to just post your pictures on Instagram, there's many creators that I follow on Instagram who don't even show their face. I'm like, I don't even know who this person is, but I love your art, boo, and that's it. You know what I mean? And that's all somebody really needs to know, you know? But yeah, and so I think, right, so Kamisha was saying about the merch. Yeah. Now I do use drop shipping for some of my prints, but that's once I had vetted the organization to make sure that they had high quality. So I would just say definitely maybe give that a try and maybe like vet the company, make sure that the products are good. If you feel comfortable with it, then that actually could be really dope. You didn't see my what? You don't think so? Okay. I thought so. I was like, oh my God, what was she? Well, and then man, I was trying to learn editing, and the first software that I was using on YouTube was iMovie. I was using my husband's Mac computer. I don't like Macs, y'all, but he had iMovie on there. It was free. I could use those tools. But now I use my my Surface Pro. That's where I edit, do all my things. But yeah, thank you, Valencia. Because when I look back at some of my old videos, I get to cringing. I get to cringing. Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. And y'all, I love this chat. So keep it coming in the chat so I can put it up here on the screen and we can all see what's popping. Okay. Hey, Devon. Is it Devin? Is it Devon? Let me know. I'm here for you. You said that you really need to push to open an online store for jewelry. Oh, I love jewelry. It is, y'all. It is. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay. Going online is intimidating. It is. It is. You know, it's a very intimidating thing. Here's the thing, y'all. I have a painting up here on my wall. It's one of my favorite pieces that I've created. It's not for sale. It's like literally my painting that's going to be in my personal collection forever. The painting is called Courage. And it's literally this woman she's naked. like many of my paintings, they're naked. She's naked. It's orange. It's like she's walking in the fire. And I literally think if we are able to get past fear, anything in our life, the floodgates open to us. It's just a floodgate of abundance. Like, it's crazy because I felt the same way. I kid you not. I had wanted to start my YouTube channel like years and years and years ago, but I was like, man, here's the thing why it was really hard, because I'm a comment creeper. Okay. I be the one who like go on YouTube videos and like scroll down and see people's comments. Like, and people be mean. Y'all, people be mean. I'm like, damn, I don't like, how would I feel if I put a video up and somebody was mean to me? Like, it's like, and I'm like a sensitive soul, you know? But I say, you know what, Aramis? If you gonna put yourself out here in the world, you gotta be strong. You gotta be courageous. And the people who are gonna vibe with you are gonna vibe with you. And what's amazing about the internet, there's the block button. Like the bot, like you can block whoever you want to block. But unfortunately, if you let fear stop you, you're gonna block your blessings too. Okay. So I think it's super important to understand that, yes, it's intimidating online, y'all. I'll be out here, but I will block a mother in a minute. But thankfully, I haven't had any people on no crazy stuff. And that's the beautiful part, y'all. Like, sometimes we be like, oh, well, I don't want to because people like it's scary. But then you like put yourself out there, and then it's like all this love, and you like, oh my God, why was I afraid? Like, what you know? Now I get it. I'm still small. Maybe once I get out there, it'll be crazy. But who knows? Who knows? Yeah. So it's like you really got to do it. You really got to do it. I do put mine on TikTok. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. TikTok, I've just stopped with TikTok. I'm like, I'm just stop it because I'm trying to manage so many platforms. And I'm also it's funny. I feel like I can speak a lot on camera, but I can also write a lot. And so what I don't like about TikTok is that I can't write a long caption. And y'all know, if you follow me on Instagram, y'all know she the caption queen. Okay. So it's like, I want to be able to record a funny video for TikTok, but I also want to be able to write a long caption about it to also give it context. Okay. So I don't know if y'all saw this recent one. This one had got a whole lot of love. This is one of my captions on Instagram. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, but everybody's comments was so beautiful. Everybody's comments was so beautiful for that. I was talking about how artists don't owe you accessibility. That's a whole nother topic. Y'all gonna have to check out my Instagram for that one. But I don't like that element about TikTok. And I also realize on TikTok that if I see a creator I like, I usually end up just keeping on scrolling. Like I'm just in this like scrolling loop where I'm just still scroll. Like I'm not stopping to look at their profile and like click on their links. I'm literally just like in the scroll loop. So one, that's where I stopped using TikTok. I was like, okay, I can't be trapped in this scroll loop, y'all. When they say TikTok is addicting, it is, and it be kind of making me nervous, and that's why I just had to pull out from it. But what's great about it, it's a new platform, and I think it's a phenomenal opportunity for new artists to put themselves out there, because I start to think about people who are like just starting out. I'm like, man, what would I do if I was just starting out? Here's what I would do. I would probably be on TikTok. I would be on, honestly, I would be on TikTok, because the virality of TikTok is insane. It's really amazing. So I think, yes, if you just starting out, get over there on TikTok. I've had my Instagram page since 2011. So I feel like I've built up my community on Instagram. So I'm gonna just stick over there, and I'm also gonna build my community on YouTube. I'm gonna talk more about that too. So let me keep on going, because your girl will be in a whole rant. Okay. Let's talk about this. When to start your Patreon, and how to get more patrons. And also, y'all, tell me if these questions are good, and also feel free to start dropping your questions in the chat, because we actually are coming up towards the end of this like formal presentation. Oh, y'all can't see this. Wait, let me put it back. StreamYard, boom, bow. Wait, click. There it is. Okay. When to start, how to get more patrons. I'm gonna tell y'all this. When I say keep showing up, I mean literally keep showing up. Keep showing up on the platforms. Keep showing up at local art events in your community. Keep attending art shows and gallery events. Like just stay present. And so I realized, like, when I started, the more that I shared about my Patreon, the more patrons that I got. For like when I first started my Patreon publicly back in 2020, I would go on my Instagram stories and be like, hey, welcome so-and-so to the Patreon community. Actually, just the other day, we got a new patron, Shanita. Welcome, Shanita, to the Patreon community. I would say that on my Instagram story. So that would like remind people like, oh, I have a Patreon. Oh, like, oh, she has a Patreon. Let me check out her Patreon. Different stuff like that. Keep sharing your work, because here's the thing, y'all. People want to support what you are doing, but they don't know if they want to support you if they don't know what you're doing. So you have to keep sharing your work. Here's the other thing about, because Kamisha, this is a great question when it comes down to Patreon launch like strategy. Exactly what I'm doing right now. Explain what Patreon is. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people don't know what Patreon is. Honestly, there's a large community of people. You say Patreon, you like, first of all, I've never heard of that. what is that? Or they're like, I heard of it, but I don't really know like what it is. So I've learned that there actually has to be this point to help educate people. So that's part of what I'm doing now. One of my goals this year is to increase my is to increase my Patreon engagement within the platform, but to also increase the number of patrons. So I'm gonna actually take you back over here to the next slide, Kamisha, because this is a perfect thing to talk about this launch strategy. Okay, I told y'all, right? Wait, let me hide myself. Let me hide me so you can see the screen better. Okay, so Kamisha asked about launch strategy. I started the Patreon in February 2019. I don't know if y'all can see that tiny little line. That my first patron was my husband, okay? Andy, thank you, babe. So that's him, okay? That's him down there, that little line. He was my first patron, okay? He went in, he signed it. I was like, babe, okay, can you like go in there? Like I kind of like needed somebody to test the platform, but also he loves supporting what I do. So he actually formally went in the Patreon account and did it. So this whole time didn't tell anybody. I don't know if you could see from March 2019 to April, there's like a little increase. I don't know if it's so tiny you can't even see it. I'm gonna tell you this. Somebody joined my Patreon. Her name is Jessica. She's my official first patron out in the world who like I didn't know as like a friend or family member. Okay. Mind you, all these months went by. I didn't even know that she had joined because I didn't even like stay consistent with I wasn't even checking Patreon. I wasn't even looking at it. And that's one of the issues that I have with Patreon. They aren't like the app is so glitchy. Like sometimes it'll let you know if somebody has joined your Patreon. Sometimes it don't. Okay. So now I've just got in a system of literally checking my Patreon every other day because sometimes they won't tell you. So I finally had figured out that somebody joined because this little thing happened. I said, oh my God, somebody joined. Okay. So I had went back and had told Jessica, thank you. Now, Kamisha, you asked about launch strategy. Boom. April 2020 was when I had created my first YouTube video talking about Patreon. The title of it was Welcome. Let's Get Awkward Together, Patreon. This is when I publicly told the world that I had a Patreon. One, this video was public on YouTube, so anybody on YouTube could find it and click it. Two, if you don't have a YouTube channel, you don't have to make a public YouTube video. I highly recommend, though, when you start your Patreon account, that you create a welcome video. So in this, I introduce myself. I say who I am, what I do, what my Patreon perks are, why somebody should join Patreon. Like, I mean, y'all can like check that out. It was a whole. Now that looks, speaking of awkward, I was so nervous. I feel like my voice was quivering, like I was gonna cry or something. Like I was so nervous. I felt like I was shaking because it felt kind of weird to ask people. Y'all know how it be, but look, that's a whole nother talk for a whole nother time. Okay. But yeah, so that was my launch strategy. I was like, I'm gonna make a video. I'm gonna put it up on my YouTube channel. Now, even if you don't have a YouTube channel, still make a video. Okay. Make a video, make it unlisted. And now when you start your your Patreon account, you can link that unlisted video into your Patreon. So currently when you go to my Patreon account on patreon.com/AOHamer, this is the first video that comes up when you scroll down. Okay. And then I have a whole little talk about it and kind of explaining it more. But I would highly recommend that you keep sharing it and talking about it and like making a video, posting it on all the platforms, create a newsletter for your email subscribers, telling them that you started a Patreon. And now I'm also tell you this, T. You are always launching your Patreon. So right now I'm in the middle of a Patreon launch. Let me explain. The next time, so currently right now, you see this this peak right here, February 2020. This is when I was launching like literally what I just did now, which is what I guess for people who are watching this in the replay, I should provide some context. I paint murals out here in Seattle, Washington. I painted one for a location called the Paramount Theater. It was a huge mural and it was a temporary mural that was boarded up during the time of COVID. The mural came down. They had gave it back to me. It was ginormous. It was 8 feet tall. I was like, what the hell am I about to do with this mural? And I had an idea. I was like, what if I cut up this mural into smaller pieces and gift it to my patrons? Because it's literally like them having an original painting of mine. So people who are literally, who were in my like $4 tier were getting an original signed AO painting. So a whole lot of people joined during that time. Here's this dip. This technically isn't a dip. Let me explain. So the way Patreon pays you, when people join for an annual membership, they pay you all of that money at once. So there were a couple people who had paid like a large lump sum. And so that's why it seems like there's this giant peak, because they pretty much, they don't distribute that money throughout the months. They just give you a big old solid lump sum. And so that's why it's like pew, because all these new people joined. So I recommend like every 6 months having like a quote unquote launch. And so, for example, this was another time when I was launching, and you see this spike here. You see, I was kind of close to, I actually had stopped talking about my Patreon. The minute you stop talking about your Patreon is the minute your Patreon stops growing. It's truly like any marketing plan. Keep showing up, keep sharing, keep talking about it. Now, not spam me though, right? Like, I mean, but like literally, I think what has helped me is just showing appreciation and acknowledgement for my current patrons has helped me talk about Patreon more. And also it helps me acknowledge my current patrons while also telling new people like, oh, she has a Patreon. Maybe I should join, you know? And so, so this spike was in January, you know, new year, new us. I was like, okay, let me like spice it up. Let me give them something fresh and new. This was the time, I don't know if you all can see this. It says new year, new Patreon perks. I added new perks. This was the time when I added the monthly create dates. So currently for my patrons now who are in the Nebula and Supernova tier, I meet with them once a month during our monthly create dates. We just hang out, we chat, we vibe. I'm either painting in my studio or I'm here at home sketching in my sketchbook. We all ask questions, we all hang out. And now I added that because I was seeing a whole lot of comments from my YouTube video. Like people like, yes, girl. Like pretty much people just saying that they love my energy, my vibe. And I was like, oh, that's cool. First of all, thank you. I'm so honored by that. But I was like, okay, maybe I can package my energy. Okay. I'm like, okay, maybe I can just like show up for my patrons. You know, if they just like vibing with me, let's just vibe. And so that's when I started that perk. So January 2021, when you see this spike in my patron enrollment, that's when I added the monthly create dates. Before that, I literally wasn't seeing them at all. And then also it was like, man, I have all these people in my Patreon. I want to know them. I want to see them. I want to, you know, better connect with them, you know? So that was a part of my launch strategy as well, doing new perks. Another kind of launch strategy, I don't know if you see this spike here. This was in June, so that was the 1 year anniversary of us painting the Black Lives Matter mural. So I had did a gift for the patrons where I had gave them the V print. Yeah. Is that what I gave them? I think I gave them that. I think I ever gave them. No, I did. I gave them the V print, and I had gave them the V as a greeting card. So literally, I think you're constantly going to be launching your Patreon. I honestly think that you could have a strategy every 6 months, because honestly, that's what I do. I have a strategy like every 6 months, and like this is literally a part of my strategy. Okay, like you are seeing it here live in full effect, while also creating a YouTube video that's going to stay up on my YouTube channel for people to see it and reference it later. So now they can start their own Patreon. They can better understand the tools, and more artists can be financially free out here. Okay. So it's truly like, I don't like the saying killing two birds with one stone. Maybe look, kissing. We gonna kiss two birds with one pair of lips. Okay. So I feel like that's truly what this Patreon tutorial is. Okay. So Kamisha, look, that was just me doing like a deep dive into that question, and you asked it at the perfect time, which was towards the end when I was explaining some of those tips. But y'all, for the 10 people who are still live with me, look, we over an hour, y'all. Let me know your questions. I am going to be wrapping up soon. I'm going to drink some water because I've clearly rambled on. What are your questions? What are your concerns? What do you feel about from some of the stuff that we talked about? Where are some of the issues that you feel like you kind of get caught up at? You know, I want to show you. Oh yeah, this right, the V prints. I had gifted them that, and look, y'all, FOMO is for real. Like people be DMing me like, "Oh, I missed it." Oh, like I'm like, "Hey, you missed. Look, you missed it." It's like, you know, so sometimes it could be like having that FOMO experience is like super real. What was the other thing I had wanted to say? Oh, the other thing about rewarding my OG supporters. I can talk about that in a bit. But yeah, y'all keep on dropping your questions in the chat. Let me know how y'all feel about Patreon. If you are inspired now, because look, when y'all start y'all Patreon, DM me, send me a link of it, because I can have like a whole resource link for people who are starting Patreon accounts. Let me stay hydrated over here. Absolutely. I'm constantly tweaking. Okay. One of the tweaks that I'm gonna make is I think starting next year, like I'm kind of already on a roll this year. I've already set some sort of expectations for my current patrons, so I can't make this change too soon. But next year, what I'm probably gonna do is start sending out the perks quarterly. So people who are getting physical goods, because at the same time, y'all, Patreon isn't my main moneymaker. Like I'm running a full online business. Okay. So I have customers, I have clients, I have collectors, I have people who I'm painting murals for. Like I have all sorts of stuff going on. And so it's like I'm already shipping out other stuff. So I think I'm going to start tweaking it where people who get like physical goods from me, I'm going to ship them out quarterly instead of monthly. You know what I mean? But yeah, 100%. You constantly going to be tweaking it. Let's see. Hey, Tyler, the creative. Okay, first of all, I see what you did there because I love Tyler, the creator. Okay. He's dope. Okay, you said, how did you manage? Yeah, super good question. So honestly, it was trial and error. So I think I had mentioned this earlier, but if you just joining us now, I talked about how I felt like in the beginning I priced my tiers too low, because once I started seeing how much money I was spending on shipping, that's when I realized like, oh, I'm not charging enough. Like shipping prices is for real, you know? So understanding that you gonna make mistakes, you know, you are literally learning as you go. You can tweak it as you go. And so I did do some calculations. So for example, my top tier is Supernova. They get the physical goods. The physical goods that they get is 3 greeting card sets. So like of any special thing that I'm doing, let me grab this super quick. Okay, wait. I'm glad I got pants on, y'all. I've been in some meetings. Girl stood up, didn't have no pants on. I got pants on. Okay. So for example, I'm gonna show you this. Where is me at? So for example, I painted okay, I had talked earlier about me doing commissions. So sometimes different corporations, organizations will hire me to either paint a mural in their lobby or paint a mural on the side of the building, or they'll commission me to make a custom painting inside their building. And so that's what took place for Symetra Club. So that was inside the Climate Pledge Arena that's in Seattle, Washington. Now, depending on the project, sometimes it's an exclusive deal, like where I can only make that painting and not sell it. Now, whenever I do, first of all, I rarely do projects like that because my money maker is my prints. So if you saying that I have to paint something for you that I can't make reproductions of, that means you're gonna have to pay me a premium so that I can recoup my funds. Okay. But what I have been negotiating in some of my contracts is making sure that I can still give my patrons different gifts. So even though I can't sell this painting that I created inside the Climate Pledge Arena, I had spoke to them in my contract. I had pretty much like negotiated in my contract where I could gift my patrons a greeting card set. So in the greeting cards, how I figured out the prices to answer your question, I was like, so I get my greeting cards made at Vistaprint. So I had looked at the cost of goods of that. I was like, how much is it going to take for me to make 3 greeting cards? Now I did this. Now I know to do this. In the beginning, I did it and I realized that I was losing money. Okay. So I'm trying to help save y'all some time and some money. Look at your numbers, figure out your cost of goods. Okay. Because if you losing money giving your patrons stuff, that is not the point of your Patreon. Your Patreon is to help build a community, grow your audience, connect with your supporters and fans, and to be real, to have a consistent income where you have a profit so that you can grow and build and scale and then bring on a team. So look at your numbers, see how much it's going to cost you to make that good, see how much it's going to cost you to ship it out, and calculate it from there. So that would be my tip for that. To share the truth, I did do that in the beginning. Lost some coins, lost some monies. That's all right. I was building my community, and like the people who are still with me, they have been grandmothered into some beautiful exclusive deals, which is so amazing. And I think that also even keeps them around longer. Like just like so many awesome things for people like your early patrons. Those are going to be the people that's going to be with you for a while. And honestly, those are going to be the people that's even going to help you work out the kinks. Okay. I was like, my patrons have helped me out so much. They're like, hey, Aramis, just a heads up, this link doesn't work, like just so many. I'm like, thank you so much, because sometimes hearing that stuff from customers can be like, ooh, like I'm supposed to be this professional businesswoman and I'm supposed to have it together. What's nice, like patrons, they just give you so much grace, and I feel like they're truly my like business partners on this journey who's been helping me build my art career. And I'm just super grateful for that. But I would definitely say, yeah, no, that's fine. No worries at all. I would definitely say, calculate your cost of goods, figure out your profit margins. Okay. On some, some straight up unsexy businesswoman talk, figure out how much, it's going to cost you. But yeah, y'all, we at the hour 11 minute. This has been amazing. This has been fun. Hopefully it's been helpful. Y'all drop it in the chat. Tell me if this has been helpful for you. Just a reminder for my patrons, if you are a patron, this week is patron enrollment week. I know there's so many of my patrons who just want to support what I'm doing, which is so amazing and feels really good. But I also want to make sure that you are getting access to everything that I'm building on the back end. Okay. So I went live here today on YouTube. I'm going live again privately with my patrons tomorrow to help walk y'all through this online portal that I created, which is called the Mothership, and to get you set up with Discord. We now have a full-blown Discord community where we be chatting, connecting. But I know there's some new members who aren't familiar with that tool, don't know what Discord is, don't know how to use it. So I'm showing you how to do all of that tomorrow. That's privately with the patrons. And then on Thursday, we are going live on Zoom. We all gonna meet, hang out, chat. I want to know who y'all are. Like it'd be weird. I'd be like running into my patrons in real life, and they'd be like, "Hey, I'm a patron." I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, hey, but I want to be able to greet you all before you greet me, because y'all have just been giving so much to me. So that's literally just a 1-hour session where I just want to sit and get to know y'all, get to meet y'all, and show y'all the tools that we have available. Because I don't know if you all see this over here in the Mothership. We also have an artist directory. That's where the patrons who are artists in my community can share what you are creating. And that's taking place on Saturday. I'm doing a share your work day where y'all can show me what y'all creating and what y'all are working with. And I created this back end tool where you all can follow each other on Instagram, on YouTube. if you all have a channel as well. So I'm gonna walk y'all through all of that during this patron enrollment week. So if you are currently a patron, check Patreon. All that info is in there. All the links are there in Zoom. All the links are available as well on the calendar that's in the Mothership. So if you got any questions, that's where that is. Oh, good. I'm so happy. Oh, right. Oh, perfect. So look, you asking the questions. You asking the questions. Actually, let me drop this link in the chat. I don't know if Andy's still here. We gonna see, babe. If you could drop it in the chat for them, aohamer.com/PEW. That breaks down what patron enrollment week is. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going live 3 days this entire week to show y'all everything that is available and all the tools that we have in Patreon. It's the time where I get to meet and connect with y'all, and so that we can build and grow. Because next month is Paint Pro. Next month is Paint Pro. If using OG, then you know what Paint Pro is. That's where we create one piece of artwork every day during the month of April. And I'm really excited for Paint Pro. But yeah, I'm gonna share more about that at some point later on. But let's see. And I see maybe Andy left the chat. That's all right. You're probably like, baby, you done went way too long. You just said an hour and now you way over it. Okay, great. I'm happy to hear that, Ashanti. I'm glad that this was helpful. Oh yeah, I would love that. Oh, please come to Seattle. Yes, y'all. Like, the patrons are flying in from out of town, which is just blowing my mind. The Zodiac show is gonna be so lit. Thank you so much for asking. Oh, you know what? While the show is taking place. I ain't look, this is gonna go on my YouTube channel. So let me not. I'll share that later. The Zodiac show is taking place June 4th, right out in here in Seattle. It's Saturday. All of that information is going to be on my website and my calendar. So yes, I would love for you to come to Seattle. Actually, the patrons, I'm doing a Patreon meet and greet. That's going to be so pretty much that whole weekend is lit. That whole weekend is going pop. Okay. June 4th is the art show. That's the Zodiac show, where I'm premiering all 12 of the astrological signs. I've been painting them for the past 4 years. They are going live. I finally get to show all the originals to the world on June 4th. And I'm actually exhibiting that show at one of my patrons' locations. So my patrons are amazing, y'all. My patron, Scott, he owns a building in Seattle because he's just dope like that, okay? That's where I'm having my show, and I'm super grateful for him. So my patrons have just opened up so many doors for me as well. That's taking place June 4th. Please come to Seattle, Ashanti. I would love that. So that's that Saturday is when the show. But the Friday, the day before, is when I'm doing a patron meet and greet. Okay, so since I've been talking on the back end with the patrons, they've been telling me that they are gonna come to town, like fly into Seattle. I got patrons in Arizona, New York, Florida, Cali. Like, people are coming in town. So I was like, okay, let's make it a full event. That whole weekend's gonna be lit. So Friday, I'm doing a patron meet and greet in my studio where y'all can come meet me, see my studio, see my art in person, see where all these YouTube studio vlogs take place, as well as help celebrate my birthday, because my birthday is that Sunday, June 5th. Okay. So that whole week gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. So thank you for asking. Thank you for wanting to come to Seattle. I would absolutely love that. Yeah. Right. Yep. Honey, let them know it's a premium price if you want an exclusive deal with your girl. Glad to hear, Valencia. Glad that this was helpful. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. And how I say in all of my videos, if you like this video, like it, and I'm gonna see y'all next week. And check out the links in the description to learn more about Patron Enrollment Week, and DM me on the gram when y'all start y'all Patreon. Thank y'all so much for being here.